What do you say, everybody? And Roll Tide, welcome to Cover Crimson, brought to you by Pearl River Resort. It's Elephant in the Room with Jay Coker and Mick Gillispie. And again, Pearl River over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. The two of us are going to be there next week, and we want you guys to come down as well. The Dancing Rabbit Golf Course, amazing. Azaleas, the Oaks, two just perfect golf courses. Maybe you hit Philip M. Steakhouse, all that right there at Pearl River Resort. Hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 and change from Birmingham. So we got football rolling in. I mean, the countdown is on, 16 days before kickoff, and you know what that means. It's time to play his opener. All right, there he is, Jay Coker. I'm Mick Gillispie. I guess right off the bat, I've got to admit that I made a serious error, and just go ahead and get that out of the way. You are much taller than Ty Simpson. Much taller. I don't know why I had the guy. It's like 6'4", 6'5". He's like 6'1".
You must have read the comments from the last show.
You read.
I wasn't going to be the guy that was like, "Oh, I'm much bigger." You know what I
You
mean?
knew the whole time, though?
Huh?
You knew the whole time?
I mean, I've met Ty a few times, so yeah, I knew the whole time.
I met him too, but he was taller than me. I don't know why. I don't know. So maybe comparing him to you is a bad idea. He's closer to Mac Jones size.
Yeah. You just, you see guys that are taller than you, and you can't really tell who's who.
Have you seen those pictures of us in the ring? It's like you and Barron and me and whoever else, with Shanks around. I mean, I'm always like, I'm a solid 6 foot, but man, I mean, like everybody else that I guess played football at Alabama has to be like really tall.
Yeah. I mean, that's what. When I see people for the first time, they're like, "Man, you're a lot bigger than I thought you were." And it's like I'm just like, yeah, because I'm standing next to a bunch of big fat asses out there, on the field. It's all relative. It's all relative.
The Ty gets the quarterback nod. Did you like that? I'm sure you did, right? Just get it out of the way. Give him the.
I love it, man. I love it. I've been saying this for a long time. I think, not only we all knew it was coming, right? I mean, this is the worst secret, probably in the SEC who the starter at Alabama was going to be. But to me, it shows a lot of confidence in Ty from the coaching staff. They name him early. You got 2 weeks to work with the ones and get those structured practices in, game planning instead of rotating guys in and out. It's more organized. Everybody's looking at their leader, the number one guy, and that day one, this is who's going to be leading your team out there against Florida State. And so I think it just creates a lot more continuity and unification out there during practice during these last 2 weeks of camp, and I think it allows guys to mesh a lot better. And so I think you're going to see a far more, like I said, unified team out there, or offensive unit going into that week 1 matchup against Florida State.
When do they start implementing the game plan for Florida State?
Probably now. I mean, you've been throughout the summer. You've been doing a few things that I mean, again, in the NIL era, I don't know if the rules are still in place about how much time you have to watch film with your coaches. But there's also a lot of voluntary, mandatory things you're doing to watch film and get prepared. And so I think my last year at Alabama, or maybe both my junior and senior year, we had a time allotted slot to watch film with Lane, and so we, went through the basic install throughout the summer, but also watched some film on some opponents, and especially that week 1 opponent. So, throughout the summer, you're kind of getting ready, but now's the time to really drill in and focus on what you're going to be doing against Florida State, what kind of looks you're going to get, what you're doing to kind of get them out of their rhythm and the plays that you're going to use to dial in. So the real preparation is starting right now, I would imagine.
Right. Yeah, and that's probably why you make that call. Now, if you didn't get the job, if you're Austin Mack and Keelan Russell, what are you doing to be ready in case something happens and you have to play?
Man, you gotta take the Jalen Hurts approach. Just because you're not the guy doesn't mean you're not valuable to the team. Hey man, Ty gets us set up for a playoff run in week 6 and gets hurt. There's going to be a lot of weight on the backup shoulders, and the worst feeling in the world, I would imagine, is coming in and is the number 2 guy in a needed moment and not getting the job done. You're letting your team down, the fan base down, everybody down, and there's no bigger magnifying glass on anyone but you because, again, you've got a great season going and the backup comes in and the season falls apart. There's only, in everybody's eyes, there's only one person to blame. And and I hate to say that, but that's just the truth. So
yeah, well, you've lived that life, man. Like from the minute that you step on campus at Alabama as a quarterback, you're being scrutinized. And then when you get the starting job, everybody really looks at you like you're a hero and a villain at the same time.
Yeah. I think I only had one drive where I got called in meaningful time as a backup against Florida. I think we were up by a touchdown, and I went in there and I threw a screen to Derrick Henry and then threw a fade ball to Amari Cooper for a touchdown. And, so it wasn't like I went in and doctored some crazy drive, but I do remember, going in for that drive and we scored a touchdown and it felt really good. But that was really the only time that I was needed in a critical moment as a backup. But, you got to go in there, be confident, look like you're confident and understanding that, when guys see you come in the huddle, they think that, you've prepared and you're ready for this moment.
Well, they got Florida State this first game, obviously a big one to you. We're deeming it the Coker Bowl because you played for both teams. You won a championship for both teams. What can Alabama and Ty Simpson expect in Tallahassee?
This is going to be one of those games where, look, when I was at Florida State, there were a few games where, it was rocking. They had the light show going. The war chant was wild. Probably the loudest I ever heard that stadium. Probably, a Clemson game when I was a recruit. Dustin Hopkins hit a game-winning field goal from 55 yards out, and it was crazy. And then we played Oklahoma. I want to say it was my true freshman year. Played Oklahoma, and it was deafening loud. And that's what it's going to be like. When Alabama rolls to town, Florida State, they're excited. They think they're going to turn it around this year. I expect it to be just like that. It's going to be a wild atmosphere. What time are we playing?
It's like 2:30, 3 o'clock. I'll check that here in a second.
Well, dodged a bullet at not being a night game because the night games there are pretty. They get pretty crazy. So, I think the day game will kind of lighten the intensity a little bit, but it's still going to be wild in there. I think that stadium holds 90,000 people. I think when I was there, I think it was 85. Huh?
2:30.
2:30. Yeah. So that's a good kickoff time for us. But yeah, it's going to be loud. That war chant. I tell you, one of the coolest things was before games, you're in that locker room, and Jimbo was about to have his pregame talk, and you could hear that war chant, from inside the locker room. You hear it shaking. You feel like you're about to walk into the Coliseum. You feel like it's going to be a gladiator fight.
Right.
It's pretty cool. Those guys are going to be fired up, man. It's going to be a hell of a first start for Ty. There's no doubt about it because, my first start was in Jerry's World against Wisconsin, and I mean that was hard to beat. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to be a different type atmosphere, an away game at Florida State. So
right.
it's going to be a lot harder to hear.
Yeah.
When you play in Jerry's World or a neutral site, NFL stadium, I mean, I feel like it's usually 50-50 as long as the location isn't, too friendly to one certain school.
Right.
Yeah, we played in Jerry's World. It was pretty calm. I mean, it got loud when a team scored, but again, like I said, you going into a spot like Florida State, that's going to be a hell of a first start for Ty. You're really going to learn a lot because it's going to be hard to communicate. You're going to really see how well these guys have meshed over the offseason, especially these new transfers. And it's going to mean a lot to have a guy that's been there for 3 years, been in the system for years, a backup, gotten some playing time. I think it's huge that Ty's got that type of experience and going to lead this team. Because one of those guys would get their first start, but Ty's the guy with the most leadership capability right now. And I hear he's only had one interception through camp. That's pretty strong too. It sounds like he's getting the ball to the right guys and distributing it well. And as much as I thought it was true, it sounds like it's pretty obvious who the guy is. So
yeah. I feel like this is a really, really tough game for Alabama. I'm Florida State. Like, I don't see a whole lot of pressure on them. You know what I mean? Like, they were terrible last year. Nobody's picking them to beat Alabama. And to me, I just don't know what to expect with what we saw last year. We were so inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this throughout the years on this podcast and off this podcast. I mean, when you've got a bunch of new guys starting, which, we've got guys up front that have been playing. We got Jeremy Bernard and I mean, guys up front who are coming back and playing, and in that wide receiver room, you got a lot of leadership. You got Jam Miller in the backfield. Ty, although not a starter, guy who's been around a long time, and I think everybody looks to for leadership. So, I mean, in terms of it being a new team, they're going to play an atmosphere together that they've never played in before. So, there's going to be some hiccups, no doubt about it. And you're not going to really know who this team is. Kind of, it's like South Carolina last year. I mean, they got some new faces. They really don't turn it on until week 6, week 7.
Mm-hmm.
I think we just kind of got to get through those first 6 weeks of the season, and I think we'll do pretty well. I mean, look, Kalen DeBoer is second year. Last year was chaotic. You got Ryan Grubb back. You got all the pieces in place that you want for continuity and for confidence, and that's the biggest thing. I think this group is a lot more confident going into this year than we were last year. I mean, you're not wheeling and dealing, learning a new system in 3 months. You got guys who have been through a season, been through an off season. It should be a far more well-oiled machine going into this year than it was last year. So I don't think you're going to see the type of issues that we saw early on last year. And, we did play well against Georgia early on in the season, but we kind of caught Georgia by surprise there early, and then you saw them settle in and come back, and they probably, if there's another quarter, who knows what happens. The timing kind of worked out just right, but we weren't there yet, when we played Georgia. Then we go and lose to Vandy the week after that, and that's kind of when everything started catching up to us. But I think you're going to see a far more confident team early on in this year, and you're not going to see the kind of ups and downs that we saw last year.
Let's hope not. Guys, I want to tell you this. Our friend Keith over there in Maryland, Balmer, sent me a Balmer video. Love Keith, man. He's the guy that runs Residence Inn by Marriott Ocean City. Big Alabama guy, watches all the shows. He wants you to come out and yell Roll Tide to him right there at the Sunsets and OC, the boardwalk. great seafood, crab cakes, also the bar secrets, the green turtle, just all the awesome things that you get to see and do over there in Ocean City, Maryland. And well worth the trip. And check it out. And we appreciate you, Keith. All right. When you look at the offensive line that Alabama has put together, I feel like Ty Simpson's a quarterback that's going to really need the offensive line to block, not just pass block, but run block, because I think that for him to have success, like any quarterback, and you know this, if you establish the run, it's going to make throwing the ball a lot easier.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, look, I feel like we're pretty established up front. I think that quarterback offensive line relationship is always, one of the key relationships in terms of, being a solidified unit up front. And Ty's been around for 3 years. The guys that have been playing no Ty, I think those guys are, kind of helped Ty along the way in terms of how to block certain fronts, how to set those protections against certain looks. And then the guys that are rolling in, they're going to play for the first time this year. Ty's been working with them for 3 years for the most part, or at least a couple of years. And so, that relationship has been built. When I was a backup, that second team O-line, I was, those were my guys. And then, when you roll in with the ones, those offensive linemen kind of pick on you a little bit, and when you don't make the right mic call, or you don't run away from pressure, or don't do the right things, they give you hell, and you kind of get on the same page in that way. So I feel good about the veterans up there. I also feel good about the new guys coming in because they've got a relationship with Ty that's pretty long standing, and throughout those years of playing in that 2 role, you build that relationship where there's a lot of trust there. So, again, can't hammer this down enough that with Ty being named the starter, the timing of it all, we got a couple weeks to really gear towards Florida State. I just love the way this team's coming together, and especially with the coaching staff, the comfort level they have there with each other, and now the players. I saw where they got Texas. I think ESPN, the analysts picked Texas number 1, or the analytics picked
Right.
Texas number 1 in the SEC, Georgia number 2, and Alabama number 3. I like where we're at in terms of those rankings. You got a lot of guys who are coming in that haven't built a legacy at Alabama quite yet. They're looking to make a name for themselves. A little pissed off by seeing those rankings. I'm sure I would be, even though they're probably well deserved, since again we don't have a lot of guys who have built a legacy yet.
Right.
And even though Ryan Williams is a star, he still, to me, hasn't put himself out there as being a threat in every element of route running. He's a deep ball guy. Don't get me wrong; he's a playmaker. But in terms of mastering all elements of the receiver position, I don't think he's established himself there yet. And so we got a lot of things to prove. And again, I think the disrespect and some of those preseason rankings are going to work to our favor.
I hope so. I hope it's motivating. Guys, I want to tell you this. You want to look good on game day, you need to check out this Coker wear right here, Rowback.com. Promo code Crimson20, get 20% off at Rowback. Jake, you love their products.
No, you can't. Hey, I'd wear it every day if they'd send me more stuff.
You get 20% off with our promo code there, Crimson20. That's not good enough?
Yeah. It's good for a few, but free's always better.
You're not the best sales guy in the business for no reason. Well, for the rest of us commoners, 20% off of Crimson 20 at Rowback. They got some really cool Alabama shirts too. You have I was there when you won it. You and our draft, our Rowback draft.
Well, hey, at least when I'm selling something, at least people know I'm not full of shit. You
Yeah,
know?
that's true. All right, let's change
Because
gears here.
I've used the promo code a pretty good bit.
Have you?
Yeah, but I'm ready for that fall football season refresh.
They need to send us another box. I'm not going to argue with that. That sounds
Yeah,
like good business.
we need another rowback draft.
You wanted to talk about this, and I'm going to set the table. Oregon has come into the state of Alabama now for the last 2 years and gotten the best player in the state. Last year, it was Naheem Offord from Parker High School in Birmingham, 5-star cornerback. And then this year, it was Anthony Tank Jones, the edge out of St. Paul's, your high school, and he goes to Oregon. And there's been a lot of criticism of Kane Womack and Bama for allowing this to happen, for not being able to recruit the top player in the state. Whether that's justified or not, that's definitely the perception of some Alabama fans, and they're not happy about seeing the best players from Alabama going to Oregon.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot lately of posts or comments. Is this the biggest whiff of ever in Alabama football recruiting? And the pre-NIL era, I would say this is a huge problem. But I just don't understand how these commentators say stuff like I saw something. I think it was Matt Moscona commenting on how this was the biggest whiff, and you see again some of these posts. I just don't understand where that comes from. In this era where money is basically the driving factor for a lot of these guys. We've talked about it on this show. I don't know how many times. When you look at his top three: A&M, Oregon, Alabama, you got two that he's considering due to the money, and you've got one that he's considering due to the fact that he loves Alabama. And again, to me, if you're Alabama, Alabama's going to fund and get guys that they can get. But certain guys, if you're from Alabama, and I've heard the figures thrown around, and I've heard rumors of how much Oregon is planning to pay him over a 4-year period,
right,
or an annual basis, and it is a ridiculous amount for a guy who's never stepped on the field
right,
yet. And I think Tank's going to be a hell of a player. I think he's a great kid, going to be a hell of a player, but. Competing with that dollar amount is just, I don't know. It's going to be hard to ask Alabama to pay that much. And if you're taking money over playing for Alabama, and you're from Alabama, then, look, you want guys that want to play at Alabama, that love Alabama, that what Alabama was offering was no small amount. It was pretty strong.
right.
And so, to offer that much, you get to play in your home state, around your family for the team you've always grown up playing or wanting to play for. I'm taking the lesser amount to do that because I love Alabama.
Right.
And to me, you want guys that will take that lesser amount to, just to play for Alabama. And I can't imagine getting that kind of money to play for Alabama. I was playing for free back then, and I was pretty damn happy.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know how you consider it a whiff. You can only do so much, and you got to pay your other guys too. So, again, it's kind of one of those situations where, in my opinion, it is what it is. You gotta spread it evenly in this situation, and competing with Oregon and Texas A&M is going to be it's going to be damn near impossible.
Right. So, well, you'd have to pay somebody a lot of money to get them to go out to Oregon.
Yeah. And look, Alabama gets more exposure than anybody, and I've said this for a long time that Oregon could probably, if you look back, Oregon could probably guarantee Bryce Young more money from the start. You could guarantee the Will Andersons more money from the start, but that organic NIL money from actually performing on the field and being marketed every Saturday and really throughout the week, just from the amount of media attention that Alabama gets, you got to kind of look at that as well. Like, do you believe in yourself to be a key player for Alabama and get that type of marketing and really pick up true NIL deals? Not, hey, I'm Oregon, we're going to find a way to basically wash this money and get it to you, because we can. Or, are you going to be on the Dr. Pepper commercials like Bryce Young was? You're going to be on, get these other outside deals where you're actually generating money, from an advertisement perspective, and they want to pay you because you're valuable.
Right. Well, part of this too is that, the coaches at Alabama, they're going to have to connect with these guys and win them over. That didn't happen with Alford. That didn't happen with Tank. And, it is what it is. I mean, but you're right, though. The bottom line has always been money talks and bullshit walks. I mean, my dad told me that when I was a kid. So they must have paid him a ton of money to go all the way out there and play. And, but at the same time, if you're selling Alabama, you want to be able to get the best of the best in the state. They did a good job, though. I mean, look, they still got a lot of good players from the state of Alabama. Last year they didn't. This year they did. So it's a tough business, and maybe they'll have a set of rules. I mean, they're supposed to, right? Where you can't just go in and buy players, but that hasn't happened yet. I mean, we keep hearing that it's going to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. But maybe he just wanted to play there. I mean, look, the relationship that he made with, with Lapoy and with what's the head coach's name, Dan Lanning, a defensive guy, was different than the one that Kane Womack and him made. And I know you talked about Freddie being there. Kane was in Mobile, so he's going to be criticized. That's how it always goes. Coach Saban got rid of coaches when they didn't win these battles.
Yeah.
You just automatically drift it off to a new job, So there is accountability here.
No, I mean, look,
back, but you know what I'm saying.
Tosh was at Alabama when I was at Alabama. I know he's a really good recruiter, and he's going to do anything he can to get guys in. I mean, he's a ruthless recruiter. But when you're talking about, I mean, Tosh against Freddie, I mean, Freddie Rhodes to me is probably the most dynamic recruiter, in my opinion. If you're talking about recruiting defensive guys within the Southeast, I don't know. And Freddie will be a lifetime coach at Alabama if he wants to be. To me, he's that good. As a coach, as a recruiter, just relating to people, building relationships. I don't know if I've met anybody that's better at that than him.
Wow.
I mean, Denzel Duvall is one of those guys that gets along with people and just. I remember walking in the locker room. It was my visit, my official visit to Alabama when I was, leaving Florida State. I mean, I walked in the locker room, didn't even know who Denzel was. I mean, I saw him play, obviously, and seen him in uniform, but had no idea what he looked like. And first impression, as soon as I walked in, he's smiling, laughing, we're talking, and I'm like, when you first meet somebody and you get that first impression, you're like, this guy, this is going to be one of my guys. And he is. He's one of my favorite people I ever played with. And Freddie is right there. He's one of those guys just like Denzel. I mean, in terms of relationship building, you're not going to find a better guy than Freddie, and then, Denzel as well. So I from a relationship perspective, and you think about long-term, Freddie's, somebody would have to offer him a ton of money to leave Alabama, and that could possibly happen because he's that valuable. But
right,
I just don't see him leaving Alabama due to the fact that he could be the governor of Alabama one day, in my opinion. He knows everybody. He's got a great personality. He's smart. I mean, he's trustworthy. I can't buy into somebody having a better relationship with Tank outside of Freddie. I can't buy into that.
Guys, we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort. The two of us are going to be there in the middle of next week. We want you guys to come hang out. The golf course is amazing. Dancing Rabbit Golf Course. It's the Augusta you can play. Don't need a membership. Hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 and change from Birmingham. But it really is an awesome place. Got everything you need. Slots, table games at Silver Star and Golden Moon Casino. You got the sports book, the Timeout Sports Lounge, 20 big screen TVs, full-size bar. Got a window where you can get, put your bets in there, kiosks, all that stuff right there at Pearl River Resort. Also, always great concerts, live music on the weekends. And the water park, Geyser Falls with the lazy river, the spa. Find out for yourself. Short trip from the Tuscaloosa Birmingham corridor to Pearl River in Philadelphia, Mississippi. All right, final thing you wanted to talk about. I think it's as interesting. And that's that John Mateer, who was the quarterback at Washington State, now the quarterback at Oklahoma, is being, I guess, investigated for serious gambling allegations. And basically it comes back from money that he got on Venmo. And then the notes that were put on Venmo. Look, my opinion on this has been ever since Alabama lost that Bryce Young game at Tennessee with all the weird calls. I'm not saying the players, I'm not saying the referees, I'm not saying the coaches, but I'm saying that it happens. Okay. And even if that game wasn't thrown, it was weird enough to me where I'm looking back on it and going, my eyes are open. And there's a lot of money at stake. And there's a lot of bad players out there. And I'm not talking about football players. I'm talking about the mob and organized crime and all that stuff. Bama had a baseball coach that got fired for allegedly being involved in gambling. I mean, think about that. And baseball is like, for as far as like gambling, it's a non-starter. Nobody even cares about it. College baseball. Think about the scale of football. So, what are your thoughts on John Mateer and this? And did anyone ever come and ask you to throw a game?
No, nobody came at me and asked me to throw a game, but I wasn't very accessible either. And I think, I hate this for John Mateer because I mean, I don't know how far back that went. I mean, what year is he? That happened in 2022, is that right? Or 2023?
Yeah, 2022.
I mean, when I was playing, Venmo was around, but golly, I can't imagine doing something that stupid and putting that out there. And I hate to even talk about it and highlight it because look, a kid betting on a game that he wasn't even involved in, which he wasn't, right? I mean, he was not involved in the game that he was betting on. I can't imagine. Anyway, I mean,
they said that there were multiple games, but one of them included a game between USC and UCLA. I don't know, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know all the ins and outs of this. I know that he transferred to Oklahoma from Washington State. He was Washington State's quarterback. Last year, he had 3,000 plus yards and almost 30 touchdowns throwing the ball, ran for 15 touchdowns, and he's coming to Oklahoma. And that, that we've seen other gambling allegations, and I mentioned Bama baseball, Iowa State, and Iowa.
Well, you're crazy if you don't think that that guys are betting on games that they're not involved in. I mean, that is happening. I mean, that's without a doubt that's happening.
Right.
The Tim Donaghy, I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
that Netflix documentary, man, that opened my eyes to a lot. And like you said, you watched the Alabama baseball coach last year. I mean, this is something I think is probably more rampant than what people realize. I mean, the Tennessee game, I do agree with you. I mean, it makes you wonder. That game kind of, in my opinion, made me start to think something may be going on there, because there was so
worst
many
I've ever seen. It was the worst. Maybe it was just the worst officiating ever, but the penalties, and even when they would let a play run and then blow the whistle after the play to give Tennessee another set of, like Tennessee throw incomplete pass on 3rd or 4th down, and then there'd be a whistle where it'd be a false start where they would really just get another play out of it. Yeah. I mean, Bryce Young getting hit, and then they send all these rules out on protecting the quarterback. Guy comes in, crowning the helmet, nothing done. It was just a whole game of that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to take anything away from Tennessee's win, but it was so odd to me the way that game was officiated, that and you guys know I've talked about it that night. I've talked about it a lot since. It isn't about Alabama and Tennessee. It's about the fact that there's a ton of money that's available. There's a lot of bad actors out there, and
we know
red flags games anyway because of weird stuff.
Yeah, and we know which ref had the bet on Tennessee, because it was that one throwing the flag on the interception in the end zone.
That was the worst. The Kool-Aid interception. The Kool-Aid interception was the one where I'm like, this is fixed.
that referee was like, "Oh no!"
Downfield, Kool-Aid's intercepted the ball. It was a jump ball. What? I mean, if the guy just like lofted it up, like, okay, come on. It was so bad, so bad. You know, I mean, I know they're a bunch of nitwits. I mean, think about how bad that Oklahoma play was, that they took the touchdown away from Ryan Williams last year. But that's just stupid. You know, that's not a fix. That's just a guy that's really dumb, that doesn't know the rules of the game, trying to be smart and throw the football, like the flag, like, I got this, you know, and he doesn't. He doesn't know what he's doing. And maybe they need to pay these guys more. And it's the same thing with the players. The players weren't getting paid for a long time. It should be easier to compromise somebody that's out there looking at $1 billion of revenue and they're getting none of it. But now they're getting paid. So, you know, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think those referees get paid like $2,000 a game, and they're not. You know, I think, you know, the NFL, I believe. I mean, those guys make a career out of refereeing NFL games. The college referees, I think they're paid a couple grand a game. I don't think. Right. I think it's a part-time gig.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder, and that, like I said, that whole Tim Donaghy documentary, that really, if you haven't seen it, then it really makes you wonder what's going on. I mean, it really does.
Yep. I remember when it was happening in real time, and it's a shame, but I'm sure more of that stuff goes on. But anyway, we got football coming up. You and I, let's get back together later this week. We were going to give them 20 good minutes, and we're at 38. So
that's right.
Just, we love you guys,
man. What is it? We got 17 days, 16 days, something like that.
16 days, yeah.
Oh man, it's about time. It's about time.
Yeah. All right, guys. Like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, get in the comment section. I ask you to do those things. Don't forget the Cover Crimson Podcast Network. We're on there as well. And we'll be at Pearl River Resort middle of next week. Dancing Rabbit Golf Course. It's the Augusta you can play. They have been a great partner. And so have you guys. Roll Tide, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.
Roll Tide.
To Pearl River Resort.